Hello, viewers. This is Michael from Screen Review, bringing you my 711 podcast. This is my 711 podcast. Like always, I'm going to speak very loudly, very clearly, and very slowly in case you don't understand me. Also, I'll try to do my best not to breathe too hard during this podcast recording as well. Another caution, or feedback as well. Also, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will contain to adult language. Once again, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will contain to adult language if you're under 18. Now, if you're over 18, then you get to watch this audio podcast recording. Now, with this with everything else out the way, let's get into the top. Let's get into the topic of this podcast. Recently, I finally went to go see James Gunn's Superman movie. I gotta say, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad Superman movie. Like I said before, it's not a bad Superman. It's not a bad Superman movie. I just felt like I just felt like there was just too many characters that I know that he's using this Superman movie is supposed to be it's supposed to be a jump stop for one of the major jump stops to James DCU, but basically he's basically using the Superman movie to set things up for the rest of the future of his own the rest of his own DCU. So basically, I'm not saying that the movie is bad, but I just felt like the movie just the movie is just like basically it's like he just he's been all the characters in this movie has been set up for a future project to come in James Gunn the new DCU and whatnot. So basically, like Metamorpho, the Green Lantern, Guy Garner, so basically, Guy Garner and Hawkgirl are supposed to be in Peacemaker season two. We saw a cameo to Peacemaker season two. We saw Peacemaker showed up, in a cameo scene in this movie. So basically, Green Lantern, Guy Gunner, and Hawker are gonna be in Peacemaker season two, and plus Guy Garner is most likely Guy Garner is supposed to be in that new Green Lantern show too as well. So basically, Mr. Terrific seems like Mr. Terrific might get his own series. So basically, I don't know. So basically, it seems like Mr. Terrific might get his own series as well. His own TV series as well. So basically, the movie like the amount of people seems like the amount of people who was featured in this movie, but it seems like it's been setting up for basically we're setting up for Peacemaker season two. We're setting up for the Supergirl movie. Basically it's like we're setting up for like the movie is basically most of the movie is setting up characters to either their own TV series for their own TV series or their own movie or their own separate movies and whatnot. But I really liked the Lex Luthor in this movie because Lex was doing or was going all out to kill Superman. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I really liked the Lex Luthor of this of Gunn's Gunn's Superman movie. He was like he was really going all out to kill Superman. So basically, it's been a while. It's been a while since we had a a, a well focused. I will like we seen a it's really been a while since we seen a Lex Luthor who's fully focused on using all his resources to get rid of Superman. Besides the original Superman movies and Smallville and whatnot. But it was good. I liked the Lex Luthor. So basically, the actor who played Lex Luthor in this movie did a good job. The guy who plays Superman did a good job as well. So basically, I did like the characters. I did like the characters in the Superman movie. I liked the fact that that we see like like the rest of the Daily Planet crew actually actually do something to help Superman out and whatnot. So basically get involved into the action and whatnot. So basically it's kind of weird to see like Perry the whole the whole main characters of the Daily Planet actually besides Lois get involved into besides Lois or Jimmy, get involved into a Superman. It's kind of weird to see that happen in a Superman movie. That all the major characters from the Daily Planet actually getting involved to help Superman out of the jam and whatnot, and also, I really liked the fact that this movie kind of paid tribute to the original Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and also it took elements for Smallville. And also I really liked the fact that they kind of they kind of they kind of didn't make Superman fully invincible because a lot of the Superman movies we see it seems like Superman is all powerful whatnot. Like Superman is powerful and whatnot. Like he's like hey, hey, he's like he's all powerful. But in this movie, we actually see him get his ass kicked throughout this whole movie. Just like hey, I'm not that powerful. I'm not that powerful. I could be powerful if I want to, but hey, I like the fact that Superman did have a set power level. Hey, he can go higher if he wanted to, but he doesn't he doesn't unless he has to. So basically, I like the fact that they actually set a power level for Superman. Hey, so, hey, this is my normal power level, but I can go higher than this. But I just he didn't. He didn't. He didn't want to go higher than his current power level and whatnot. So basically, it's basically how Goku basically he's kind of like Goku before he he's like Goku before he became Super Saiyan and whatnot. Like, hey, I'm powerful enough as it is, so basically I'm liking my power level right here. So basically, etc. etc. So basically, I like the fact that they didn't make him like a yeah, like OT powerful and whatnot, have him at a set power level and whatnot, at a set power level and whatnot. And also, I really like the fact that that this movie take ideas for how social media, how people can get canceled on social media as well. I really liked the part. I really liked it the whole scheme for Lex Luthor, basically using social media to help him, help to help him turn the people against Superman, and also how he been and how he used how he used the government to let him kill Superman and whatnot, etc. etc. I think that was a good plot as well. I also like it. There's a scene in the movie about these monkeys. Like Lex had this secret laboratory prison somewhere in a different dimension, and he had these monkeys, actually typing on typewriters and stuff. That was a funny gag. So basically, I believe that I believe that was some type of metaphor that hey, monkeys can make a better can make better can make a better script than I can have I can have staff of monkeys to come up with white better stuff than actual humans. I believe that was the metaphor of that scene and whatnot. But like I said before, this was a good okay Superman movie. But like I said before, I felt like I think like most of the movie has been set up, has been set up for Peacemaker season two. Peacemaker season two, basically, and Mr. Terrific spin-off series, etc., etc. So basically, I feel like all the characters have been set up for set up for either future DC to future movies and TV shows as well. And that's what most of the movies have been. That's what most of the characters have been. That's why I feel like most of the characters have been, most of the movie has been set up like, yeah, hey, Guy Gardner and Hawker is going to be in Peacemaker season two. Peacemaker, Peacemaker's cameo is about his upcoming season. Peacemaker's cameo, basically is just, to let you know Peacemaker season two is coming up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But otherwise, like I said before, this was an okay. Gunn did an okay job with the Superman movie. So basically, I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see what's gonna go down in Peacemaker season two, and what's gonna go down in the Supergirl movie and whatnot, and and whatever projects that Gunn has coming out in the future of his in his DCU, but you just have to wait and see. So anyway. What do you guys think about this about James Gunn Superman movie? Good, bad, or just okay? Please let me know with the comments below. Anyways, sound off from Screen Reviews. One.